an MP for Ifiduase Asokore in the Ashanti region. Doc, thank you very much for your time. Now, the nurses say that there's already an existing agreement, so all the government needs to do is to just sign this already agreement, and then they will call up their strike. From where you sit, have you had any engagement with the nurses since they declared the strike?
Yes, Sammy, a very good evening to your listeners. Yes, I have. I have spoken to the president. I did so 2 days ago, and then I did so also today.
And what has been the response?
They basically think there's over delayed approval in the implementation of the collective bargaining agreement, which was signed in May 2024. So basically also my understanding of the trajectory is that the psychiatry nurses, at the point that they signed the CBA, the Ministry of Finance then were going to approve to get the controller to pay them, and the Psychiatry Nurses Association also took the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association to court. For whatever it is, they settled it out of court, I think on January 25th. So from May 2024, which the NPP government was going to pay because they approved with them. And then they were going to get the Minister of Finance to approve based upon the verbal understanding. And then to get the controller to pay, then it was the same nurses, a part of them, that took it to court. And then it delayed the process from May through December and then to January, 25th January. So basically, I think what they seek is to get the Ministry of Finance back to the roadmap. That's where we left off in May 2024. And I am not too sure they are getting the sort of audience they need to get from the Ministry of Finance. So I think the Ministry of Finance will, as a matter of urgency, would have to meet the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association, because as it is now, it lies with the Ministry of Finance to continue where the MPP left off, which was going to approve of that to authorize controller, and that was agreed verbally with them, and it was going to be written and directed accordingly until they took it to court by another section of the nurses. I'm not too sure they have that understanding and cooperation for the Ministry of Finance, and that is probably causing their frustration at this point in time. Yeah, so what I did was that I was speaking to Perpetual, and I think that the concerns of the nurses are absolutely legitimate. Legitimate in the context of the CPDs, the licensure renewals, and then also with regards to their research allowances and their book allowance and stuff like that, the rate to be reviewed. And it's been a long while that it has been done. And I think the arguments that they put on the floor, for me, it makes a lot of sense, actually. It does make a lot of sense. What it seeks now is that I told Perpetua that for us, because we have traveled to see to the election of the new Director General of the Africa Medicines Agency, and therefore we virtually in town over the weekend. I would want to get the Health Committee to invite them so that we can provide oversight, because in a situation where you have a standoff between them and finance and health, then it is a case that the Oversight Committee, we have a responsibility to get the state agencies to come and then to the table and let us see the roadmap. So I have told Perpetua that it's very much their demands is not far-fetched. Genuinely, it was going to be executed last year until they themselves took it to court. As a matter of fact, they are right in their quest. But I told her that let's not move on the point of strike in the context of stopping OPD, because they have a lineup activity. The lineup activity is red and red bands. They're going to wear red bands, and they're going to stop OPD. They're going to stop inpatient care, and they're going to quit total strike. They have a certain roadmap, okay? And I could feel from the president's voice that they are being frustrated because of the inability for the Ministry of Finance to engage them. So she was able to tell me that for Ministry of Health, he thinks that they have done their part in terms of the CPD arrangement and co for them. The minister, she told me literally that the minister has done well, and for that matter, she has no problem in some aspect. Now, the other aspect that she has problem is the remaining, the book allowance, the research allowance, the uniform and co, which that one has to be done for them. And they were told by the finance minister or the finance ministry that they can only meet them on the 18th of June. But you see, if somebody is chasing something for over a year, and even when you are busy and you have a certain difficulty, you don't put a team together to engage them, to be able to assuage their feeling and to be able to understand the challenges you are going through, and then you let them have a feel like, oh, it's going to be 18th, so I can have a time for you on the 18th of June. They also want to resort to what is happening now. And that is where I think that we in Parliament, when we get in there, we want to invite the GRNMA and then invite the state agencies, the ministers and their team to come to let us see where we left off and where they are. If indeed they're able to do that before Monday, that's fine. So clearly, on the part of minority, we would want what is due them given because they deserve it. However, we would want to understand the situation of finance, where you are, why you have not met them, and for that matter, we have a reason to be able to escalate the issue. They will do that. So it's a matter of life and death. Sammy, you understand? So really, all what we told them is that we side with them. Their concerns are legitimate, but on the scale of death and life, we need them to be a little bit cautious. I will plead with them if they can keep wearing their red bands, just so to have faith in Parliament. We've done it before. 2-3 years ago, the Ghana Association of the Medical Laboratory Sciences, they had a standoff with the ministry, had a strike, and we got them to Parliament. We were non-partisan on the issue. And then we got them to call off the strike. And if you have anybody listening to me, you do your research, you see that it's based upon Parliament stepping in. They call off the strike, and we made some strides. So really much, we want them to have faith in the oversight work that the people have elected us to do. And if they do so, we can assure that we're going to walk through with them each step on their demand. And obviously, I think we'll make a headway. But
then, Doug, if this agreement was reached in May 2024, why was it not implemented immediately and waited over a year till now?
For the implementation, yes. This is the catch. I think the nurses front was broken, as it is. It was at that time because those nurses have bargained with finance. They had a CBA signed with fair wages. They went to finance. They approved of it. They were going to write letter to controller. And another section of nurses, psychiatric nurses, took the issue to court to injunct and to hold the implementation of what has been agreed. Sami, do you understand?
I'm here. I'm following.
Hello? Yes, so on the scale of that, it left the confines of government or Ministry of Finance. It got nothing to do with the Ministry of Finance. It just moved forward to it was in the court. And it was in the court from April, May, June, July until the 25th of January 2025. The previous government had then handed over. Please, you understand? So the new government took over, and I'm sure the nurses have been gracious to give them maybe some 3 months from January or even 6 months. You see, so that is why I think Perpetua Mpofo and her team are right. They are right in the manner that she was able to, you can put her on the line. When, back here in Kigali, I'm speaking to you on WhatsApp. She told me that fair enough for the Minister of Health, on his part, he's done well, and he's attended to how they can even do their CPD issue. But he said, Doc, the other part is where we are worried. I stand on behalf of people, and then they need this, and I get to Finance Ministry, and they are saying that on the 18th. It is as if they don't matter. And if you treat them like this, they will be angry. So their core is legitimate. Their anger is legitimate. They have been patient enough. Okay, they have been patient enough. But to what extent would we want to trade off with debt? And that is why I was saying that Perpetua, you are right. I told her, Perpetua, you are right. Your team is right. So there's no objection to it. But you see, in Parliament, we showed faith to Ghanaians 3 years ago when the labs people went on strike. We solved it. We asked them to call off.
So you can give the firm assurance that the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health will intervene in this particular issue.
Yes, as a matter of fact, when we get to Parliament, I'm discussing with the Health Committee chairman. I'm now ranking, and so I would want us to help in a manner. I'm a politician, but I'm ethically guided as a medical doctor. Okay, and I say that the nurses are right by all standards. But you see, let us look at the situation we find ourselves in. You find ourselves in a situation where the nurses think that we have overweighted, and we've stayed for a longer time, and so therefore Ministry of Finance must act. Ministry of Finance must also say that, okay, we took over the reins of government, we're trying to put this together, but speak to them. But when you realize that the gap, I don't know if you have interviewed them, but you realize that the gap was that the ministry is saying that we can have a hearing for you on the 18th of June. It's as if they don't matter. If you do this to them, you are not being fair to nurses. You are not being fair to nurses. That's the issue. You see, because they are reasonable. They've stayed from last year because of their own internal issues to court. Now, January 25th, they've stayed between January 25th to now. That's about 6 months. So they are reasonable.
Okay.
So what you have to do is recognize their feeling, engage them, talk to them, let them even understand the difficulty you are finding yourself. And then they'll be reasonable that, okay, we are demanding 3 things. Can you give us one here? Can you give us one 2 months' time? Can you give us one 3 months' time? Nobody is doing that to them at the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
Because the same person who is their president, who praised the Minister of Health, is the same person who is upset with the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
So then it means that she's objective. Yes.
Okay. All right, Doc, thank you very much. Dr. Nana Eyu is the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament and also the member of Parliament for Efiduase Asokore in the Ashanti region. Let's go into the other line and speak to Tony Goodman. He's a spokesperson of the Ministry of Health. Today, the Health Minister toured some health facilities here in the Greater Accra region to observe the situation as far as the strike by nurses or the nurses, is concerned. Tony, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, my brother.
On your tour, what did you observe?
Thank you. Good evening to our listeners. It's a mixed observation. We saw a lot of people actually waiting for care to be given. We also saw a lot of people receiving care. And in some areas, we saw other nurses who think that it's proper to be at work to give care. We also saw some areas there were no nurses to assist patients who were at the hospital. So it's a mixed scene at the various hospitals we've been to today.
I heard the minister in the sound clip that we played a while ago that, calling on the nurses to come back to the negotiating table so at least there can be some dialogue to resolve this matter. Exactly what dialogue specifically? Because there's an agreement which was reached out in 2024 in May and is yet to be implemented. So if you say, or if he says they should come back onto the table for a dialogue, what specifically dialogue is he looking at?
Thank you. The dialogue here is in relation to the implementation of this document. There are other aspects that would have to be implemented. There are other aspects that need to relook at. There are other aspects that will have to be put in the budget for another year. So there are various scenarios you need to look at. And you can only agree or discuss these various implementation procedure or proposals at a roundtable discussion. The table for that matter. That is why the minister is saying that, yes, just go to work. Come back for us to set a look at it. We keep saying that this was approved upon by a different administration. You need to look at this whole document again. You need to look at how do you implement. It can be agreed upon by somebody, but somebody must implement it to his satisfaction, whether or not at that point it's ready to implement. Because it's been agreed upon, you need to implement. But you have to also put in place procedure so that it doesn't affect the whole health sector. It doesn't affect other areas of health delivery in the country. So that is what we are looking at. He has not said we are not going to implement it. He's also not said that we are implementing it now. He said let's meet at the table and agree on the modalities regarding how all of these things should be done.
Tony, I've heard the nurses say that there's nothing new really, because the only thing or the only change is the political head at the ministry. The directors and the rest still remain. And so if there should be, another dialogue to discuss what really, because the agreement has been reached already, there's nothing, to change. The only change we see here is the political head at the ministry. So the document still remains valid. And so another dialogue, they don't believe that there should be another dialogue on agreement that has been signed already.
Yes, that may be true. However, you need to also look at modalities of implementation. That is what we are talking about. I'm not saying that we are going to negotiate agreements. We said come for us to negotiate the modalities of implementation. This is what we've been saying. If you come and we think that there are clauses that may trigger other things, we just agree if we need to look at it another way, or we need to renegotiate in terms of getting another year to do the implementation. Because most of the things they keep talking about, they say they want it now. So it's just, because you have to agree with the person that I'm looking at this next year, I'm looking at this next month. If you don't agree and you sign the whole document, then it means that that strike, legally, they'll be right. That is why, as I speak to you, the Labour Commission has been able to secure an injunction restraining them from continuing the strike. This came in from the Labour Commission. It's all well and purpose. All the state institutions, all other parasitic institutions, what they are looking for is for proper negotiation. It's for the team to meet. If you've not met and you've declared strike, it is not well. That is what this whole thing is about. Just come if at the table you decided that this is not going to happen, then you can declare strike. But as you speak, that has not happened. This particular government has not been met on this document.
So, Tony, until this dialogue, the strike will still be on, and patients are going to suffer the most.
Yes, we would have to also put in place some mitigating measures to reduce the impact. That is what we are doing. We keep saying that we cherish and appreciate the work our nurses do. We cannot say that if you have one or two nurses out of work, you have a smooth workplace. We definitely would have to ask them to go back. That is what we are doing. We are pleading with them to go back. We know that their work is valuable. We know that they fall part of the essential service providers, and it's important for them to be at work. We really are just appealing to them to go back to work. If the need is there to implement this, the minister said it today, why not? However, if it is also prudent to meet and have negotiation, why not do that?
Tony, thank you very much. Tony Goodman is spokesperson for the Ministry of Health there. Meanwhile, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association says it is yet to receive any official communication from the Labour Commission regarding calls to suspend their ongoing strike. This follows a directive from the National Labour Commission yesterday ordering the association to immediately call off the industrial action and return to work, describing it as illegal. However, the Deputy Public Relations Officer of the association, Philemon Japon, says they are yet to formally be notified of the Commission's directive.
Well, we've not received that directive as we speak. We've only heard snippets of it on social media and from some of your good self. But as we speak, we've not received any official directive from the Labour Commission. I think the Labour Commission knows the reason why we have gotten into this tussle, and the employer is enjoined by Section 1621 of the Labour Act 651 to ensure that issues of dispute between the union and then the employer is resolved within 72 hours so that there is no repercussion on the ordinary Ghanaian or the sick person, knowing that nurses and midwives are essential care workers. So if you can peruse what they did when we issued our roadmap, what they did when we did a press release in May, and they had to wait down the line to be able to serve as information on social media to go to work today, I think that's not the right thing to do.
Deputy Public Relations Office of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Philemon Japon. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe, and tonight I'm here with Ejubi Wiafe. Let's read some of your text messages which have come in thick and fast. Daniel from Sandema says, I stand in full support of the nurses' strike as a legitimate demand for better working conditions. Their cause is just and necessary. However, whilst fighting for justice, lives are at risk. I urge our nurses to return to work not as a sign of weakness, but as a higher form of protest, one that puts humanity first while still pressing for change. Let's be compassionate. Prince from Kofodia says, as much as I sympathize with the nurses, I'll urge them to have patience for the 5-month-old Mahama administration. President Mahama will solve their issue for them. Ghanaians' lives matter, and they must consider their strike decision. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Honorable Ayuba from Yagbon says, it's disappointing how the health ministry failed to negotiate with the health workers before it got to this level. The health minister must be held responsible for this occurrence. We must learn from the MPP, Nanado, Dr. Bawumia failure, and improve upon it. Abi National Iwa says, there are all indications that President Mahama is ready to change this country for the better. Akapo in Hafomim says, the government must take the necessary action to bring back the striking nurses to work, for lives lost cannot be brought back. David from Edjoso says, good evening, Sami. The nurses should return to work for the sake of the ordinary Ghanaian. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra.
The Minister for Roads and Highways, Gavins Kwame Agboja, has disclosed that progress on the Tamale-Walewale Road project remains at a mere 1% despite a $29.6 million payment to the Indian-based construction firm JMC, now rebranded as Kalpatura Projects. Answering questions on the floor of Parliament, the minister stated that the payment represents 20% of the total $158 million contract sum for the first phase of the project, which spans from Sablugu to Walewale. The minister says the project was set to commence in June 2022 and expected to be completed in December 2025. However, on March 11, 2024, the contractor issued a notice of termination of the contract. He thus indicated that the government is taking steps to ensure the contractor fulfills his obligations, warning that failure to do so would result in legal action.
The project cost, as documented, is $158,617,764. And yes, the contractor claimed $29,648,000 $1,180.20. And the physical progress on site is 1%. In fact, it means that we didn't even finish clearing of the site. And the contractor, in addition to the almost $30 million, is attempting to claim another $14 million. Mr. Speaker, you heard me in the past say that it has become a habit of some of the developers of the suppliers credit, though the debt restructuring meant that they were not working, sit in their offices and make huge claims against government just for standing on the site. And apart from the claim of the $30 million by this contractor, for no work done, they actually are attempting to claim another $14 million for no work done, and now decide that after claiming this money, we should leave them out of the contract for us to terminate the contract for them to go. That's what I'm saying, that, Mr. Speaker, as a road minister, knowing that I owe Ghanaian contractors over 21 billion, it is quite disheartening that at the same time that we are unable to pay Ghanaian contractors for work they have done, we have paid somebody $30 million, and the person is basically asking us that we should let him go with our $30 million. And that's what I'm saying, that we shall be able to use the laws within our country to demand that $30 million worth of work is done, or we take the legal actions to make sure that we retrieve our money.
That was Minister for Roads and Highways, Governs Kwame Agbodza.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Afternoon.
Oh, afternoon.
Please, Momo.
Deposit or withdrawal?
Withdrawal.
Ah, I like how you say withdrawal. How much?
500 Ghana.
Wow, I'll cash out.
Yes.
I feel ball number no mommy why.
0241 789.
Ah, nice one. Approve.
Please, the agent's name, is it Mipesika Bebre 2 Coin Ventures?
Hey, into what body you now?
She. My alert, I have to verify.
Always confirm the name of the person you are receiving money from before accepting a request. If you receive a request from a friend to send money to an unfamiliar number, call to confirm before taking action. Do not share your number with strangers for the purpose of receiving e-cash in exchange for physical cash, because the source could be criminal and result in legal actions against you.
MTN.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe, and I'm here with Ejubi Wiafe. Now, President Mahama has announced plans to ban the importation and production of takeaway packs in Ghana, citing significant contribution to environmental pollution. What's the president saying?
President John Dramani Mahama has announced plans to ban the importation and production of Styrofoam, popularly known as takeaway packs in Ghana, citing its significant contribution to environmental pollution. The announcement was made today during the launch of the 2025 National Tree Planting Exercise, an initiative aimed at restoring the country's forest cover and mitigating the impact of climate change. Describing Styrofoam as one of the most harmful pollutants, particularly due to its widespread use in food packaging, the president stressed the urgent need for alternative materials.
This fight is very important in order that we can hand over a good environment to our younger brothers and sisters and our children who are yet unborn. One of the other things we intend to do is to ban Styrofoam as a food packaging material. One of the most pernicious polluters is Styrofoam plastic. When you go to buy your food and they put it in that white plastic something, and then you finish eating, you just dump it. That is one of the biggest polluters. And so we're going to ban the importation of Styrofoam plastics. We have to use paper packaging or aluminum foil for packaging our food. And so I'm informing the manufacturers and importers of Styrofoam with the Ministry of Environment. Soon we're going to ban the importation of Styrofoam and production of Styrofoam in Ghana. Our food packaging will be made from paper and also from aluminium material.
That was President John Dramani Mahama speaking there.
Let's go to the phone line and speak to Ebo Boche. He's the president of the Plastic Manufacturers Association of Ghana. Mr. Boche, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, good evening, Sammy, and thanks for having me.
I'm sure this announcement by Mr. President will come to you and your association as a big blow.
Not necessarily. It's all about technicalities and the economics of the plastic industry. I think when there is a proper stakeholder engagement, I think the understanding will be much clear. But before I would even say anything, let me just try to clear some misconception. The styrofoam, we call it technically, we call it PS. The PS that you see, it contains between 4 to 5% maximum plastic. The rest is air. It is basically air. So it becomes rather more of an eyesore in terms of impacting on the environment. We need to have the proofs. We have arrangement or plans to meet the Honorable Minister for Environment between 16th and 16th and 20th of this month. That's in about 2 weeks' time. We are just waiting for the appointment. We really want to give the minister a proper overview of the plastic industry. So when government wants to initiate any programs or any decisions, it will be well informed. Now, I heard the president saying that ban importation, ban local production. Importation is a fantastic idea. Now, most people might not know that our machines, our capacities, we export over 57% of our production to neighboring countries. So what kind of ban that is going to be in place? Is it a ban for us to sell locally, or a total ban for us not to produce at all? In that case, it means we'll lose 57% of the export earnings. It's a bit of a complex syndrome. I think we are very hopeful that government is going to sit with us. We'll just open our books, explain a complete cycle as far as the plastic industry is concerned. Let government understand and let government make the decision. Sometimes some of these statements, it affects investor confidence. You know, I mean, today when the president made the statement, a couple of manufacturers started, making calls here and there, talking about, wow, are we safe with our investments? Do we have to start thinking otherwise? This should not be happening. I think it would have been fantastic if there had been consultations with us before an assessment or a statement like this will come on air. I think the minister, in earlier engagement, the minister has been very clear and emphatic that before any ban, there will be a diligent stakeholder consultation, which should be the best approach. So we wait. Anyway, the president has just made a statement. It doesn't mean that it is effective. We are supposed to wait, engage with the appropriate ministries, and then see the way forward. When the ministry or government sits with us, we'll just explain, get them enlightened on how to go about all these things. We have big consumers like in the China, in the US, in the Europe. I don't think there is any serious economy that has gone for a total ban like this. It's all about management. We are very, very poor in managing our waste. Not only plastic, but generally, we are very, very bad when it comes to. So it's all about management. And again, this
exactly the point the president made, and which a lot of people also support, that these plastic waste contribute significantly to the environmental pollution that we see around. And so there's a belief that if there's a ban on it, it will help with environment, and then issues of climate change can also be dealt with.
But the plastic waste is a resource. It's a raw material. Do you know how much ordinary Ghanaian, the scavenger, the plastic waste collector makes? I mean, we are talking about 1 billion Ghana cedis in a year. And these are all 100% self-employed people. We need to be careful. Yes, there is a contribution to the degradation of the environment by plastic. But is that the best way to go about it? We can manage our plastics. In Europe, in Germany, in England, they import plastic waste because what they have is not enough for them. It is about, I'm coming from the plastic industry. So when I start digressing on the paper, what it will also bring in terms of the climate change, it's even much worse than the plastic. So I think I will just still give the benefit of the doubt, wait to meet the Minister for Environment, have a proper discussion, conversation on how to go about all this. And we have different types of ban. We have several types of ban. So what kind of ban are we talking about? Ourselves, we've been moving for an idea of certain types of ban on what we call microns, which government has not implemented. So we wait to meet government. We cannot eat our cake and have it. Do you know the economic implications of a total ban? And like I said in my beginning expression, that we are exporting about 57% of our products outside Africa. Outside Ghana to ECOWAS. Now we are even going for the African Continental Trade Area as well, just to make sure Ghana become the mainstream. So we need to be careful with, in fact, a lot of the PS, that is a styrofoam, goes to Nigeria, goes to Benin, Burkina, Mali, all the way to Senegal in export. So if we say that we should ban the production of styrofoam, is it that we should shut down completely and even forget about export? I think we need to get the understanding clear as far as this issue is concerned.
And it will be interesting to hear the outcome of your engagement with the Environment Minister on this issue, because a lot of Ghanaians and majority of Ghanaians are really in support of this total ban, because they compare to other countries and they say countries like Rwanda, you have a ban, a total ban. In the capital Kigali, you can't go there with plastic. Everything is packaged, in paper, packs. And so if countries like Rwanda and Kigali as a capital town is able to implement such a policy, what stops government or Ghana from also going that way?
Sammy, point of correction. If you said Rwanda, there is a total ban of plastic, you need to be specific. In Rwanda, it is plastic shopping bags, because we have collaborators as far as the plastic industry is concerned. The plastic industry is very heavy in Rwanda. The ban is on plastic shopping bag. Let us always place the correct emphasis so that it doesn't confuse citizens. Rwanda is not banned a total production of plastics. No, plastic shopping bags.
At least it's a step, and Ghana can follow that step and gradually, come to a total ban.
We have proposed to government that let's place a ban on the shopping bags, micron ban on the shopping bags. Government has not come up with it. We've come up with a lot of initiatives. Anyway, we have a new administration. I cannot blame His Excellency John Mahama's administration because they are just on the block. But in the previous administration, for the past 8 years, we were just hammering on it, proposals upon proposals, that let's have a ban on the micron. It was never implemented.
Okay, Ebo, thank you very much. Ebo Boche is the president of the Plastic Manufacturers Association of Ghana. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. AGB has some more stories.
The Ghana Health Service says it is in talks with the World Health Organization and the Africa CDC for access to Mpox vaccines. The country has so far recorded 45 cases of Mpox across 9 regions, with 2 patients currently on admission. 10 of the confirmed cases are children. In an interview with Citi News, Director for Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Isiedu-Bequin, said the service will continue managing the situation as discussions for vaccine supply progress.
I remember the last outbreak that we had. Though we had 120 cases, we struggled to clearly establish at-risk group. If you don't get a clear at-risk group, then your intervention may not be effective. So for this outbreak, we are as much as possible, we are investigating to be very established that this is the at-risk group, and then we engage them to make sure that it's done. So I'll say it's work in progress. We are engaging WHO and Africa CDC so that we get the vaccines. Somewhere last year, Ghana didn't have any established human-to-human transmission, so we did not qualify. Now that we are having human-to-human transmission, the idea is that we need to be able to identify the clear at-risk group who will benefit.
Dr. Franklin Isiedu-Bequin is Director for Public Health at the Ghana Health Service. The Court of Appeal has acquitted and discharged Yao Ajakum, who was sentenced to 35 years in prison in 2002 alongside notorious armed robber Atayi, who received a 160-year sentence. Ajakum, who served 23 years behind bars, was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and alleged to be a mechanic for Atayi's gang, which terrorized parts of Accra in late 1990s and early 2000s. While Atayi and his crew were convicted for multiple counts of armed robbery, Ajakum appealed his sentence, with his lawyers arguing that the prosecution failed to link him to any of these crimes. The Court of Appeal, in a unanimous decision, agreed. The 3-member panel, Justices Abuaje Tano, Stephen Opon, and Janapare Batels Kujo, ruled that the prosecution had not presented sufficient evidence to justify his conviction and sentence. Ajakum had no legal representation during his original trial. Meanwhile, Yao Ajakum, following his acquittal, recounted the circumstances that led to his conviction and the toll it has had on his life.
Mekase bakunu wo minim na na meboa me na ye adwuma ma minim ni fie nyina eno ni hwan ayi atai okay minim ni fie nyina ni minim se oye konfo ana oje ko me na me ye na adwuma nyina minim adwuma oye taxi driver.
I knew Atai because I was his mechanic, but I had no idea he was involved in armed robbery. I was arrested while in church. I told the police I had nothing to do with it, but they didn't believe me. I was convicted and sentenced to 30 years in prison, even though I was innocent. I lost everything, my shop, and precious time with my 2 children. My only crime was being his mechanic. I kept praying to God for the truth to be revealed, and finally, that day has come. I'm deeply grateful to Justice Bafo Boni for being fair and acquitting me after the evidence proved I was not part of the robbery.
Me can be Emma J. Mr. Bafo on boy idea for mammy, or idea upon a mammy lawyer, you know, see. The business is a mass, Yamia Pijanisha, and Paminimushi. A church as soon as you see Simutu so, in such a corner, but also. They am there so much woman say, minimum, Bibia, Timina was.
You heard Yao Ajakum, who has been acquitted and discharged after he was sentenced to 35 years in prison in 2002 alongside notorious armed robber Atai. Now, the National Commission on Small Arms and Lightweight Weapons is urging transport operators to remain vigilant, warning that arms and explosives could be secretly transported by unsuspecting individuals. This caution was issued during a training session for transport operators aimed at equipping them with the skill to detect, prevent, and report suspicious items. Speaking to the media, Acting Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Adam Bona, called on operators to ensure that all passengers declare the contents of their luggage before boarding.
Sometimes buses collide, and you go and the two buses, both of them are bent. And you ask yourself what happened. It's because some of these buses are innocently carrying explosives. And so the moment there is fire or there is trigger, there's a chain of explosions. You go and everybody is dead. And you hear the villagers say, oh, we had explosions. And, a chain of explosions and, call it secondary explosions. So our work here today is to train them so that they are in line with the research agenda the president is fashioning out. Fuel prices have reduced, and so it tells you that those who couldn't travel in the past can now travel. It means more people are going to be traveling than it used to be yesterday because fuel prices are dropping. The transporters are reducing fares by 15%, and some are even doing more. And so our mandate is to ensure that we train these people so that they are their owners.
You heard Acting Executive Secretary of the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons, Dr. Adam Bona.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Charlie, where are you?
Boss man, I'm at the bank.
Really? But your car is in front of your house.
Bro, my bank on my phone, Charlie.
Oh, how?
EcoBank, bro. With EcoBank mobile app, I can do everything, anywhere, anytime. Listen, I just checked my account balance, paid Ahmed's school fees, and sent money to my grandma at Walwale.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Masa, just download the EcoBank mobile app from the Google Play Store or the App Store, or dial *770# and be your own bank manager.
Manager.
Whether to pay bills or fees, to check account statements, send money across Ghana, abroad, and more, EcoBank mobile app has got it covered. EcoBank Mobile, making everyday people live everyday lives the EcoBank way. EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
Oh, jump on now.
Go. Google me. At what time when you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Petroleum premium fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Petroleum, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Petroleum is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Petroleum. Choose Petroleum, choose quality.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Ejubi Wiafe Akente. Let's settle for the details. The Bank of Ghana has recorded a loss of 9.49 billion cedis, resulting from a fall in total operating income in the 2024 financial year. This is the third consecutive fiscal pressure for the central bank, having posted 60.9 and 10.5 billion cedis in losses for 2022 and 2023 financial years, respectively. There's more in the following business desk report.
For 2024, the total operating income of 9.40 billion Ghana cedis was outpaced by a total operating expenses of 18.89 billion Ghana cedis, leading to the deficit. Factors accounting for the loss this time around include 8.60 billion Ghana cedis spent to manage excess liquidity and support monetary tightening in the form of open market operations, FX revaluation and exchange losses amounting to 3.49 billion Ghana cedis, which include 1.82 billion Ghana cedis linked to the government's Gold for Oil program. During the period under review, currency issuance cost rose to 1.01 billion Ghana cedis, up from the 690 million Ghana cedis in 2023, which means an increased cost of maintaining currency circulation. In addition to these is accounting adjustment arising from treatment of foreign exchange gains and losses from revalued assets, include gold holdings, special drawing rights, and foreign securities. Despite the loss, the central bank reported a 4.02 billion Ghana cedis improvement in its equity position.
Emmanuel Pong with that business desk report. The Bank of Ghana is pushing back against fears that the recent gains in macroeconomic stability, particularly the strong performance of the Citi, could be reversed when the government resumes external debt payments. Ghana is expected to honor a maturing Eurobond in July 2025, sparking concerns among some market watchers about renewed pressure on the local currency and reserves. But speaking at a recent forum with the Association of Ghana Industries, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Johnson Esiama, reassured businesses that the bank is well positioned to manage any potential shocks.
Why do we think the Ghanaian cedi will always be a useless currency? It's not. Now, gross international reserves currently stand at a healthy 10.7 billion, providing about 4.7 months of imports cover, which gives us a significant cushion against external shocks. And again, I've had questions about whether when we begin to make our international payments, the story will not change. Now, let me clarify that we do not just sit down and observe. We plan ahead. We have a profile of all the major payments that are awaiting us for the next year or two. So we have what we call a projected cash flow statement or table, which tells us when we need to make what payment, and therefore we prepare for that rainy day.
He had Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama. Away from that, the Independent Power Generators Ghana has endorsed the government's recent introduction of one Citi energy sector levy, hailing it as a pragmatic step to rescue the country's ailing power sector. The group described the levy as a necessary intervention to halt the growing debt threatening the viability of Ghana's electricity supply chain. Daniel Odro-Mensah has more.
The group pointed to years of financial mismanagement, particularly the misuse of previous energy sector levies, bond proceeds, and loans that were intended to reduce debt and restore financial health. According to the group, this failure has left power producers unable to recover costs, service assets, or maintain reliable fuel supplies. The group urged Ghanaians to support the initiative, warning that inaction could lead to severe consequences, including blackouts, job losses, and reduced national productivity.
Daniel Odro-Mensah with that business desk report. Now, the global gold market showed modest growth in 2024, with total demand rising slightly by 0.6% to 4,974 tons, up from 4,945 tons the previous year. According to a report from the Ghana Chamber of Mines, this increase comes despite weaker demand from jewelry and official sector holdings. The rise was largely driven by strong investment activity and high demand in the technology sector, pushing overall demand to its highest level since 2010. Daniel Dromensa has more in the following Business Desk report.
On the supply side, global gold output saw 11% increase. This was due to a steady uptick in mine production, which rose by 0.5%, and a surge in recycled gold, up from 1,234 tons to 1,370 tons, a response to the year's elevated gold prices. Speaking of prices, gold averaged $2,386 per ounce in 2024, marking a 23% increase with a peak price of $2,784. Meanwhile, the all-in sustaining cost, a key measure of production expense, rose by 6.3% to $1,379 per ounce. In contrast, net producer hedging declined, with the global hedge book shrinking by 23 tons. This reflects a more cautious stance from producers amid ongoing market uncertainty and price volatility.
Daniel Dromensa with that Business Desk report. Away from that, key players in Ghana's real estate industry are raising concerns over the growing financial burden of housing construction, warning that current financing models are unstable. Speaking on week 1 of the Citi Business Festival 2025 on-air series on the topic Understanding Real Estate, Managing Director of Merson Capital Limited, Yao Ajakum, said the cost of borrowing keeps driving up the cost of housing. He also called for a relook at the country's affordable housing goals to ensure sustainability of the policy.
The issue of construction finance, because the mortgage must be written on a house. And with mortgages, you say, okay, pay 15 or 20%, and then the developer develops the house, and then you pay the balance. The developer doesn't have financing. I think that we missed a trick in our affordable housing schemes in the past. Always saying, oh, let's drive down the price. But look, if you build and deliver houses for $20,000, $25,000 or whatever, in a sense, you're creating a slum. It's not only about the price. It's also about the payment arrangements. Because if you're saying to the buyer that don't pay me $40,000 today, only pay 20% and spread the rest over 10 years, suddenly that person only has to worry about paying maybe the Citi equivalent of 100, so let's say 1,000 cedis a month in order to own a home, because the financing arrangement behind it allows the developer to offer such an arrangement to the buyer. That is what would actually make property affordable.
Yao Ajakum also called for a deliberate policy shift toward encouraging the use of locally sourced inputs, strengthening local manufacturing capacity, and restructuring financing mechanisms to support developers and home buyers.
What would help even more is if we have a value chain that's localized. So I don't need to import tiles. I don't need to import
louver blades, window panels,
or whatever.
Yeah.
But the reason why importers import is because the capacity for local producers is small. And when you are a developer, you're chasing yield. So your work is sensitive to time. So when you go to a local producer and the local producer says, oh, I don't have it today, come tomorrow or come next week, then there's no certainty around your own work plan, and it affects your work plan and your. So yes, the currency appreciation into the long term, if it's a predictable pattern, is good. But if we could localize the
value chain,
well, that will have a more sustainable effect on the price of homes, and everything would be in local currency.
Managing Director of Merson Capital Limited, Yao Ajakum. The Citi Business Festival 2025 is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, with sponsorship from Absa Bank, MTN Ghana, and Zonda Tech Ghana Limited. Businesses in Ghana are being encouraged to enhance their digital visibility and competitiveness in international markets by adopting country-specific domain names, particularly those ending in GH. This comes as the Domain Name Registry is leading the charge in promoting the use of GH domains, stressing their role in boosting local business search engines, visibility and credibility on the global stage. Speaking at the Ghana Internet Governance Forum, Engineer Benedict Sego from the registry noted that local domain names support digital trust.
Now we are in the digital space, and people look for businesses, even people who are locally based. Before they step out to go and look for a product, the first thing they do is they search online. So if I need something, I'll go online and I'll search for something to buy, let's say spare parts, and then I'm directed to a certain website. That website is likely for me to know the physical address if I want to go there physically. So it makes it easier for me to move from my house, knowing where I'm going, instead of for me to move from the house and then be searching for where I can get this particular thing or particular A or thing B. That's why it's important for you to register for a domain or a website, and you should basically target the .gh because of the added benefits it gives you.
Benedict Sego is an engineer at Ghana Internet Governance Forum. And that's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Ejubi Wiafe Akente. Up next is Point Blank.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Are you ready to lead like never before?
Ready to master the art of strategy and inspire teams that thrive?
It's the Management Bootcamp 2025.
An exclusive high-impact training for mid to senior pros.
Learn from Ghana's finest industry minds, brought to you by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM.
From the trusted voices of excellence, Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, comes an elite training experience designed to sharpen your strategy, leadership, and communication.
Make a date for the Management Bootcamp 2025 from Sunday the 22nd of June to Saturday the 28th of June 2025. The venue is the Platinum Bay and Passion Base Hotels.
Call 0242-011-424 to register now.
The Management Bootcamp 2025. Lead forward. The Management Bootcamp 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 Citi FM.
Fun fact, did you know that most frogs can leap more than 20 times their body length? Yup, magical. Now just imagine your business with that kind of reach. Take that leap with Frog. Frog is a bulk SMS, voice messaging, and IVR from Wiggle. User-friendly, fast, and reliable. Get more features on one platform for all your bulk messaging needs. Whether you're a church, financial institution, school, corporate organization, or individual, if you need to reach people with your services, do it with Frog. Contact 0553 019 529 or 0552 809 558. Speak to us at www.wiggle.com.gh. Frog, a leap into greatness.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're still listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra, and this is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. On Eyewitness News and Point Blank tonight, we are still discussing the imposition of the 1 cedi levy on petroleum products. If you're aware, the finance minister was in parliament 2 days ago, where he told members of parliament that the government intends to impose some 1 Ghana cedi on every litre of petroleum product purchased in this country. President Mahama spoke about it yesterday, and today the president has officially assented to the bill, making way for the imposition of a 1 Ghana cedi levy on every litre of petroleum products, bought in this country. Now, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, the GPRTU, held a press conference this afternoon. It says that by the 10th of June, if government refuses to withdraw this particular policy, it will stage a nationwide strike. That is on the 10th of June this year. Let's go to the phone line and speak to Alhaji Abbas Imodo, who is the Industrial Relations Officer of the GPRTU. Alhaji, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, good evening for calling.
When I spoke to you yesterday on this matter, you said that you needed a broader consultation and that you wanted, government to engage you, the professional drivers, as you put it, because this levy was not in good taste for you, the drivers. What has prompted a strike, after speaking to you yesterday?
We thank you and good evening to all. We say it is a very big blow to all of us. They knew very well that they have this under their place. And we sat with them, we engaged them on our 15% reduction, and we finally came to conclusion. And came up with that announcement. And it is very, very painful that they knew very well they have this under their sleeves, that they should have informed us that government, this is what government intend doing, so that we would have known how to go about our reduction. It shouldn't have been as deep as this 15% that we went through. Lo and behold, they came out with that. Any consultation, here, a major player in the fuel industry, the consumption of fuel will play a lot of role in that. So we think if they have such a thing, they should have engaged us and see if we also have any contributions, why not? And we also put in our contributions. But the way it is now, looking at the 15% reduction, just behind looking at the 1 cedi on the liter, it can never marry each other. We have patiently and respectfully given up to 10th of this month. There could be engagement before then or otherwise. Yes, of course, we haven't taken a entrenched position, but sitting quietly looking at our job declining, we can never do that. We will never do. Someone asked before this government, the fuel was around 16, 17 cities. We said yes, and we never kept quiet. That was, and other things were the reason why the current government is in office. So nobody should bring that comparative at all. So my brother, this is the long and short of our story.
I've heard government officials, including the energy minister and finance minister, say that the imposition of this levy will not result in an increment in fuel prices at the pump. So why the worry if this will not?
Well, they have said, do you have deep knowledge about what you just said? Do you have deep knowledge about what you just said?
I'm just relaying the information as told by.
Yes. The answer is no. The answer is no. They have nothing hidden. They should come out openly. Give us fair education. There are questions we also ask and arrive at a very good question. Then we all move forward. When it comes that, we should look at the 18% reduction by then on the fuel. For us also to do something and move Mother Ghana forward, we did. And we never did it among only the transport operators. We met with the transport ministry. We met with them. We sat with them. And when the last day we sat in the meeting, we break, went out and came back again. My brother, what is stopping them from engaging some of us?
Alad, your main concern is the engagement, right?
Yes, of course.
But then, if it will not result in any significant increase at the pump, why would there be a need to engage?
Well, they think there's no need. That is where we are. If there's no need of engagement, then you shouldn't have even called me. You have called me, and the 2 minutes that you've spoken, there are listeners who have learned something out of what the two of us have just said. Something has come up of it. Engagement is very important, very necessary, and very, very profitable. So if they think it's not necessary, they should be at their place. We'll also be at our place.
Fair enough. Alaj, in the unlikely event that this demand is not met on the 10th of June, as you say, and you demand and you go on this nationwide strike, and nothing is done again, what will be the next line of action? Are you going to increase prices of fares again?
I speak on decisions taken. When we go on nationwide strike, do you know what it means?
People will be stranded. There will not be, vehicles to carry people to work and home.
The whole nation to ransom. Is that what you are calling for?
No, not at all.
Yes. Yes. So engagement is very important. It's very necessary. If they like, they should engage us. If they like, they shouldn't engage us. We shall definitely move on with our life.
Are you going to go back to an increment in fares?
I haven't said that.
I'm asking.
I haven't said that. You come and join us and you hear everything.
Alaj, thank you very much. Alaj Abbas Imoro is the Industrial Relations Officer of the GPRT. They have declared an intention to strike on the 10th of June if government does not, reverse its decision or policy to impose 1 Ghana Cedi levy on petroleum products. Away from the GPRT, let's still stay within this conversation. The minority in Ghana's parliament has announced its intention to stage a public demonstration in the coming days in protest against the government introduction of the 1 Cedi increase in imposition of levy on petroleum product. The caucus says the move is against the government earlier, called for the drivers or transport owners to reduce fares by 15%. The minority chief with Frank Anodompe spoke to journalists in parliament. So this is a decision taken by the minority in Ghana's parliament. They are going to protest over the imposition of the new levy, the 1 Ghana Cedi levy on petroleum product. Let's speak to Atta Issa. He's a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament and the Member of Parliament for the Salugu constituency in the Northern region. Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening to you and to your listeners.
Atta, your colleagues in Parliament, the minority side, say they will stage a demonstration because of this imposition of this 1 Ghana Cedi levy. A lot of people have, rejected this imposition, saying that indeed it will lead to an increment at the pump, even though the finance minister and the energy minister have consistently assured that this is not going to be the case.
All right. So let me say good evening to your listeners again and to your good self. I think that it is within the rights of the minority to take any legal action if they feel dissatisfied with the policy of government. However, we must look at it critically and make sure that the nation's interest is above that of our political and parochial interest. First of all, the MPP left a liter of price, a gallon of petrol, a liter of petrol at the end year spot rate of about 15 Ghana cedis. So if through the domestic policy measures imposed by government and then strategic intervention by the Bank of Ghana has led to an appreciation of the cedi against all major trading currencies by about 18%, has brought it from a liter of petrol at 16 down to about 11. We need to commend this finance minister and the government, because after 16 Ghana cedis per liter, Ghanaians accommodated it for years. The government has stabilized that sector, making sure that we get the gains as a result of the appreciation of our cedi against major trading currencies. When they brought the memorandum that was about increasing the levy by 1 cedi on petroleum and all those other petroleum products, the government has identified the energy sector as one of the major significant economic risks currently facing the country. In fact, this was confirmed at the last staff level meeting with the IMF and the World Bank, where they lauded government on solid macroeconomic gains we are making as a country, but raised critical concerns about the debt issues in the power sector. We currently have a financial shortfall of approximately $2 billion. And when you add it to other PPA payments, you see that we are owing in total of 3.7 billion Ghana cedis. Despite that, this year, we are expected to cough up a whopping 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. When you have an energy sector gripping with this so much debt, the question we ask ourselves, what is the best way for us to leave this position? We have three options. One, we import a lot of liquid fuel because of the energy transition from hydro to thermal. Because of that, the liquid fuel that we are currently consuming, the cabinet under President Akufo-Addo gave a directive that the price built up by PURC should not factor in the liquid fuel because we couldn't get enough gas from Nigeria. Currently, as we speak, a lot of our machines are running on the thermal fuel. So the question we should ask ourselves, one, should we pretend that the problem doesn't exist so that we plan to do so once again? The second option we had was to include the liquid fuel in the tariff adjustment program. And it would have led to about 50% increase in utility tariffs. Or the last option, the gains that we are making, should we make sure that out of the game, we take part of the game and make the citizens' contribution to make sure that we spread our sector? Look, it will interest you to note that over the last 8 windows of the fuel pricing windows, consecutively 8 out of 8 times prices are reviewed downwards. So the increase in 1 cedi of the energy sector levy has become very necessary due to the mounting and unsustainability debt accrued in the energy sector. In fact, the financial shortfall, as I said, 3.7 billion Ghana cedis, comes over the sector with an estimated 1.2 billion Ghana cedis needed every year to buy the liquid fuel to power thermal plants. In fact, the 1 cedi increase currently means that an amount of 5.7 billion Ghana cedis will be raised every year. This will be used to finance the liquid fuel so that Ghanaian residents and industrial use will be light.
It seems that
politics. It is not about the politics, because once we don't leave the politics out, we lose sense of reasoning and people take advantage of that because of their political interest.
Hello, Isa, can you hear me?
Yes,
it seems I'm losing you. I'll be glad if you can reposition yourself. It seems I'm losing you. But then, whilst you do that, there are many who have also said that the 1 cedi is too much and it's too high, because if they should be charged a cedi on every liter, and so if, for instance, a day the person buys 10 liters a day, you know how much is going to be charged, and the next day continuously buys similar, it means within a week the person would have been paying, more taxes on just fuel. And so the 1 cedi actually is too much, and if there was a way that government could have reduced it than just doing it 1 cedi. And people even make comparison to the e-levy. People say that you've taken off the e-levy, which wasn't something that was affecting everybody, but then bringing in the Dumso levy, as they call it, is one which is going to affect almost everybody.
Okay, so let me take it this way. I don't know if you can hear me now.
It's better.
Let me take it this way. Number one, when it comes to the issue of tariffs and levies and the concerns of trade unions and then GPRTU, I don't begrudge them because nobody will really be willing to pay tax. But one thing I want you to avert your mind to is that we were paying 16 Ghana cedis per liter
That's at December 2024. That's what we have suddenly forgotten, that we are enjoying this windfall because of the stability of the city. And who should be credited because of the stability of the city? It's the central government and that of the Bank of Ghana. So if out of 16 Ghana cities, prices have fallen up to 11, and out of the 11, the government of Ghana is just simply adding 1 Ghana city to make it 12. And in fact, in the 9th and 10th window, prices are expected to trend downwards. That is why we are saying that the net effect of this levy simply means that it will be a gain to the consumer. It won't be a loss. So people should come down and look at how it will be implemented. The finance minister, when he came to parliament, he gave us the fiscal analysis. And the fiscal analysis says that we'll get 5.7 billion Ghana cedis on it. Yet, the effective tariff that consumers will pay as a result of that levy is virtually zero. And number two, people doing politics by comparing e-levy and that of the energy sector levy. E-levy is not a consumption tax. This tax is a consumption tax. It is a consumption tax because people are actually buying a service. You are buying a service. That is what you are paying for the buying the service. Unlike the e-levy, this was a platform created by telcos. You didn't participate in building the app. You didn't participate in putting money into people's pockets. Yet when somebody is sending money to a grandmother or somebody for medical and other business transactions, you attract a charge on it. For what we're done. So that's what the people mixing it to get it clear. The issue is that the IMF has told the government of Ghana that before they come for the final review, if Ghana is not able to deal with the IPPs we are owing $1.73 billion, if government is not able to deal with that, the last tranche will not come. And you know, when your last tranche doesn't come, it leads to reputational damage. Currently, Ghana has been given green light to enter the capital market, especially the bond market. Why? Because of fiscal consolidation, because of that sustainability measures that have been implemented, and also because of the economic recovery we are gaining. A sudden jump back to where we are coming from in terms of fiscal distress, what it simply means is that international investors will reduce FDI into our country. So this is not something government takes lightly. Who is interested in imposing taxes on people? The issue is that we must build the country together. That is why President Mahamad's administration decided issues of national economic dialogue and other form of stakeholder engagement. Yes, I think that because it was brought under a certificate of agency, one might have assumed that there should have been some level of consultation and engagement with relevant stakeholders. And I don't begrudge them. I know that Ministry of Energy will from Monday start engaging stakeholders. But the truth of the matter is that if you see the fiscals in the energy sector, ETG alone owes 58 billion Ghana cedis. How do we pay it? It will take us, based on their cash flows now, it will take us close to 6 years in order to solve the 58 billion Ghana cedis debt. So when you have all these problems, and the president is committed, we are not like other governments, where you come setting up a special purpose vehicle for energy sector debt recovery and the legacy debt payment. That was the ESLA. It was introduced in 2015, money accrued into the fund. The MPP government came and mortgaged that fund to borrow more. What the current finance minister has done is that the debt that was used to pay pensioners and other investors, government has absorbed that debt as a central government debt. Now we are reinforcing this 1 cedi levy that we are collecting into a single treasury account. And the purpose is that it must be paid directly to our energy suppliers so that the country doesn't plunge in doomsday. Doomsday will never return to Ghana. And I want to appeal to Ghanaians that this is just something that we must do to make sure that we stabilize the power sector. Ask yourself, is 1 cedi better than a discomfort that you will get as a result of doomsday? Is 1 cedi better than your industrial production? Is 1 cedi better than the comfort you get in your office? When you take all in totality, you realize that though it's a levy, but the net effect is what
we have to go, but just in 30 seconds. There are many of us who said that government should have found other alternative ways of raising revenue. For instance, renegotiating, our deals and agreement with the IPPs, that rather than imposing a tax. Just answer this question for me in 30 seconds.
Yes, 30 seconds. I think that it is not out of place, but all I know is that the government has engaged. In fact, if you remember, IPPs had given us 180 days that they will shut down if you are not able to pay their debt. In fact, we have been paying, the finance minister has been paying almost 6.96 billion Ghana cedis every week to energy sector alone. So when you analyze all these, yes, there are other options, but also is in the short term.
In the long term, government has plans of reducing commercial and operational losses of our value chain in terms of distribution and production of power. So there are other engagements that will come. But right now, there's short-term measures to survey the country against a looming energy shortfall that we are currently experiencing.
Ataisa, thank you very much. Ataisa is a member of parliament for the Sanlugu constituency in the Northern region and a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. This is where we bring the curtain down to another exciting edition of Point Blank and Eyewitness News that came to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe. Earlier I was here with Ejubi Wiafe and produced by Bevelyn London, Juliana Osei Odame, technical assistant Daniel Kwashi.